get us started.
Yeehaw. Can't see anything.
How about now?
How about great? Thank you.
Awesome.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to today's NBAR meeting. Couple things before we start off. If you have no comments on whatever topic that we are on, I would ask that you go ahead and please mute your microphone. And if, as we go through these agenda items, kind of let everybody know who's speaking and go ahead and respond or ask any questions that you like of the applicant, or members make any comments that you feel necessary. We'll go ahead and start today's meeting with public comment. If there's anyone online that would like to speak to a subject that is not on today's agenda, please indicate that now. Great, not hearing anybody. Let's move on to the agenda status report.
Mr. Chair, I have no changes to today's standard agenda.
Perfect, thank you. As we have nothing on the, well, actually, we need to review and approve the minutes for the May 15th meeting. I'm hoping that all of the members have had a chance to review that, and if so, do they have any comments? All right, not hearing anybody respond, we'll go ahead and take a vote now to approve the May 15th, 2020 meeting minutes. Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Steve, can you hear me? Jim, can you hear me?
Let's see. Hey, Jim, you having any luck with that audio?
How about now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Steve. Good morning.
Okay, good morning. We managed to get through this in less than 45 minutes. Huh.
Hey, Jim, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Jim, we can hear you, but you're really, really low.
So Leah, who's all here today?
So we've
Other
got,
than Michael. Oh, okay, so Kevin and Michael.
Okay. Well, Steve and Jim, have you had a chance to review the meeting minutes for May 15th?
Yes, I
Yes.
have.
Okay, do you see anything wrong with those?
No, not really.
Okay,
I have no issues.
all right, then with that said, Leah, we'll go ahead and approve the meeting minutes for the May 15th.
okay, Mr. Chair, we need a motion and a second.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. How's that, Mom?
Perfect.
All right. As there's nothing on the consent agenda today, to the members, have you had any contact with applicants, supervisors, or have any other information you need to share with us at this time?
No.
Not hearing anyone, we'll move on to the staff update.
So Eric, I think that's you for today.
All right, well, no update from staff.
All right, you've got 10 minutes to update us.
Yeah, no update from the staff. We've got two pretty, I'm hoping will be quick projects on the agenda. But other than that, nothing too big that I know of.
No, I'm sorry, I should have jumped in there. This is Holly Owen. No update from in Development North County at this time. We're very busy though, which is a good thing.
Yes, that is a good thing. I was speaking with Leah this morning about her schedule, and she is back at the office now. Do you see us moving to face-to-face meetings?
We talk about those issues every week in our staff meeting, and we get direction from upper management and then from the larger county. And we have not, it has not been determined yet. We're still business as new normal,
Okay.
I might say. So you'll be one of the first to know when that process changed. That said, we certainly are entering a new world of digital submittals, and our counter staff is being encouraged to work to make that even better when we can. And I don't see that necessarily going back to. I don't see that turning around. I think it's become quite an improvement. Of course, there will be people who don't have access to that, and we'll always assist those folks. But for the most part, I think this has pushed us into the digital age, and now we just need to work out the kinks. And the good news is we have a lot of dialogue about that, and we're trying to get a little closer in terms of North County, South County processing, but there are differences that are fairly fairly entrenched. So I don't know exactly. We'll never be exactly the same. I think North County versus South County, but we're trying to get a little more consistent in terms of the experience of the applicant.
Perfect.
I don't think it's South County so much as Central, to be honest with you, Holly. That's Steve.
Oh, that could be too. they fall into the North County sometimes too. So.
We managed to get through the minutes in 1 minute, and it took 45 minutes at CBAR.
There are some cultural differences and personality differences, I'd say, and that changes over time. So we'll see. We're trying to develop our relationships. Yep, trying to develop our relationships.
Hopefully.
And yes, thank you. That's all. I will certainly keep you updated on a monthly basis or sooner if things change in terms of opening counters and letting the public come in and what that interface looks like.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, why don't we go through the past minutes for this item, and then we'll go through the planner memo, and then that'll probably put us at 9:15 when we can actually start viewing and reviewing the plans for this project.
That'd be great.
With you. All right, so here are our past minutes. I would read them to you, but I am stuck in a conference room with a TV that is probably about 20 feet away. So I'll make them as big as I can. How does that look for you guys?
That looks great.
Looks fine.
And then let's take a peek at the planner memo. Eric, is there anything specific that you wanted us to take a look at during this review for this item?
I just realized I was muted. Sorry. No, there isn't too many things. The one thing that has changed significantly is the landscaping plan. More than anything, that is because the agent went back and talked and spoke with the applicant, discussed the comments he gave them. What they realized was that a lot of the areas where there was landscaping were actually going to be produce receiving areas at those buildings. and so, or in those exterior areas. So they decided to reduce the landscaping to avoid, any pest or any kind of interaction that would essentially affect the produce that went into those areas. So the landscaping has been reduced, but the rest of the comments are addressed on the plans, and this one was pretty straightforward.
All right. So let's see, we've still got about 5 minutes. Maybe let's take a little breather and then we will come back at 9:15. Does that sound good to you guys?
Great, thank you.
So Leah, are you still there?
Yep.
Why is it at C-Bar they run the thing and here you run the computer? Is it just a preference?
Yeah, there's a little bit more. C-Bar prefers to retain a little more control than the other BARs do. We can definitely have one of you guys assigned to kind of.
No, I think it works better with you running it, to be honest with you, rather than the more of a prima donna approach. So, but anyway, honestly, I think it works a lot better with you running it.
Oh, good. Okay.
I thought you were running it, so when I asked questions, I kept asking you to change it, but I found out it wasn't you.
Yeah, for that specific meeting, the chair actually runs the plans, and then the vice chair is who does the actual running of the meeting. So
if you can call it that.
For them, it runs.
So were you there the whole time?
Yeah. Well, yes. For that meeting,
Because I understand.
it's a little bit easier for me to work on different things while the meeting's going. So that's really what I do.
I could understand that. Other than Nicole, I think for Nicole, that was got to be a tough one for her. But
yeah,
it was one of the more unique experiences of my career, to put it mildly.
A difficult board to get through.
Yeah, Anthony in my office had to sit through that whole thing too, and it was crazy.
Shannon told me she didn't get out of there until 5:45, and they never even took a lunch break.
Yeah,
it started at 8:30.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, well, Kevin, they spent 45 minutes rewriting the minutes from the previous meeting. Literally sat through it.
And Anthony was there for the whole meeting and said the absurdity of the discussion was just mind-boggling on multiple issues.
It was unbelievable. I mean, I still don't understand what holistic. They told me, Steve, you need to use holistic design. I don't even know what that means, and they couldn't explain it, but they told me that's what I needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just if I never go back there again. If I was on that committee, I'd quit today. Honest to God, it was the most. It was the most.
I got told
thing
once.
I've done.
I got told once by a member that.
Who is listening to the discussion here?
I don't care personally. I don't know who's listening to the discussion, but.
I was told once by a member when I was chair that, oh, you're the North County. You let people get away with anything.
Wow.
Yeah, and she was very serious about it. And said it was real disgust in her voice.
Yeah.
We have another 60 seconds spent, and then we're going to get started again. So wrap up your.
That sounds good. Okay, no, I completely concur, Kevin. It was unique.
No, it is good feedback because we are trying to get everybody on the same page, and we are trying to have the experience for applicants be at least relatively similar with each board that they go to. I think it alleviates stress, and it alleviates a lot of confusion on the applicant's part if we can make them all at least kind of similar. Obviously, they focus on different things, and different issues are more important for the North County than the South County. And I know that C-Bar is kind of an animal of its own. So getting feedback about how we can make all of the boards at least a similar experience is actually really helpful. So if you could touch base with your planners and kind of let them know, hey, this is the feedback that I'm getting from this board, but in the past, this is the feedback I've been getting from this board and they're conflicting. Or, you know, I'm required to submit this information to CBAR when I'm not required to submit it for SBAR. You know, which one is correct? It's good to have those questions come in, and it's good to have those concerns raised. Maybe not during the NBAR meeting, but if you can touch base.
Well, yeah, I get that, but yeah, no, I will definitely do that.
All right, let's see. Do we have everybody with us still?
Yes, you do.
Yes.
All right, so whenever you're ready, the applicant for this project can go ahead and get started. Let me know when you'd like me to go to the next page.
Hi, good morning. My name is Drew with MW Architects. I am representing Main Street Produce this morning. Our project is a new training and office building in the center there. The building to the left there, that is an office building that is, we're noting that as building D on our site plan. The building to the right is a receiving building, and that's noted as building E on our site plan. Originally, we in our original DP, we had some different colors, and we went off of some images we had originally, and the buildings had later been painted since then. So these are the current colors. Our new building will match the receiving building on the right with color and material. Can you turn to page DP2?
Go.
Thank you. Our landscaping has been reduced, as Eric mentioned. In front of building E on our enlarged plan, you can see it there. There's a receiving space that where they have produce in that area, and there's a lot of foot traffic through there, so we removed the landscaping from that area. In front of building D, we removed some trees we had there originally. Those were removed because of they want to eliminate rodents in that area because of contamination.
But Drew, I see you have a setback, or I mean a setback, an offset, a 3 foot. You have, is 3 feet clear to one side of the to one building? Is that okay? Is that too close? Is that?
Yeah, we confirmed our separation, and that was okay. I know that was brought up last time, and I looked into it and confirmed it.
Your fire and everything, okay?
Yeah, complies.
Basically, the landscaping and the colors are what's different.
Yeah, that's what's changed since the last hearing.
So Drew, Steve, so the gray area on the overall site plan, is that, I can't quite read it, is that the new landscaped areas? Is that what I'm looking at?
That's existing landscape. And our new landscape is the green strip and on the enlarged plan.
Gotcha, thank you.
And that is 197 square feet of new landscape.
Drew, how wide is your little green strip? About 2 feet?
Yeah, where the shrubs are, it's about 2 feet.
Kevin, is that enough?
The
We've
plant
also
that they specified, the Atlas fescue, gets about, I just looked it up because I had never heard of that plant. Gets 2 to 3 feet high, so that means it's going to spread 2 feet from the center point, so it's 4 feet wide. Having done a lot of these produce facilities, coolers, and things like that, I would suggest that you pick a plant that's a very low, tight ground cover that doesn't provide nesting habitat and things like that for rodents, and that grass will, because it's going to fall over and create an area where of cover for animals. So it's so small. I can't tell you what plants to pick. If that's the one you want, go with it, but I would advise you against it because it's going to overhang the walkway.
Okay.
So, if I would just make that comment, if and when you submit your final plans and staff wants me to come over and take a look at it and provide plan check, advise them on plan check comments for irrigation and, plant selection, I'd be happy to do that. And that's my advice, and you can move forward.
Okay.
Just make sure that, it's got sufficient irrigation to support it.
Yeah, yeah. I spoke with a landscape architect we work with, and those are the shrubs that he recommended there.
Hey, Leah, can we take a look at the next sheet? So nothing about, this is Michael, nothing about the plans have changed at all?
No, the floor plan's the same.
Okay.
Drew, this is Steve. You've checked the code and you don't have any problems with accessibility to the second floor training room?
No, we don't. And we've checked.
Okay.
That seems
Hey, Leah, can we take a look at the next sheet? Does the board have any comments on the elevations as presented?
I think it's fine for what it is.
I have no issue.
I have no comments.
Then with the minor changes that have been requested and answered, and with the lack of discussion on this project as of right now, I'd ask for a motion now to approve these, give these a preliminary approval so that the applicant can move forward with his construction drawings.
I have a quick
I'll
question.
make the motion.
Okay,
go ahead.
I know at the minutes from the last meeting, I believe you asked for them to come back for final once they have submitted their building application. Do you still want that to happen? I know you guys have some questions about accessibility and the spacing between the buildings, and that's mostly the reason last time why you asked for that. Is that still something that you're looking for?
Michael, doesn't it have to come back before us on final anyway?
Yeah, I mean, he's got quite a bit of construction details that he has to do. I'm thinking by then he will have researched and gone through the accessibility like he's already stated and the fire concerns for separation. So yeah, I think he needs to come back for definitely for final.
After he
that'd be nice.
submits his application.
Yeah, I mean, if we can run that with the first round of plan check comments, that's not going to slow his process down.
Okay. Thank you.
Then if there's no other discussion on this particular project, I'll ask for a motion to move this project forward, giving it preliminary approval.
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, with that, we'll move on to item number 2, NBAR number 20-00003, the Old Orchid Square Design Review.
So,
If the
Mr.
applicant can go ahead.
Last comments.
Okay.
And then I believe we also have a planner memo for this one. Eric, is there anything in the planner memo that you wanted us to focus on?
That very first line basically is a really quick summary of what I need you all to comment on. I know you asked me to look back through the old ORCID design guidelines, but the design guidelines are often not super specific and require interpretation, and you are the body that does that. The main things you mentioned last time were, material, color, and color. I also added some questions about the conceptual signage and whether, this project is in general, in your belief, or your interpretation is meeting the design guidelines. I copied and pasted the specific guidelines I saw that apply to this project. But specificity is kind of where it was lacking, it seemed, and I you might provide some guidance there for the applicant if any changes are necessary, or if you're still needing some revisions.
Well, I think at this time we'll go ahead and have the applicant introduce himself for the record, and then take us through the revisions requested on this particular project.
Sure. This is Laura Goff with Studio 2G Architects. I'm going to be presenting for this for Orchid Square on behalf of Craig Reed, who's actually here also in this meeting. Yes, you reviewed this back in January, very preliminary, to give us input. And the main concerns, I believe, were the colors and then the railing. I mean, the whole goal of this project is really just to refresh the exterior, to make it more cohesive to the town in terms of the style of a Western theme. So I think we've done that, but I wanted to point out those two items that are actually further down into the drawings. So if you don't mind scrolling down, we can look at the exteriors. Are you guys able, can I do this, or are you're doing this?
You know what? I can give you, let me see. I think that I can give you
Permission.
Here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and make you a co-host. So you have two options. I can allow you to use my screen, or you can pull up the plans on your own screen and kind of take over that way. Normally it's a little bit easier because you already have the files and you're probably pretty familiar with where all the pages are.
Sure.
Whatever works for you. All you have to do is push screen share and you'll be able to share your screen.
Got it. Let's see here. Okay, so let me, are you able to see my screen?
Yep, that looks good.
Okay, great. So, well, let me take a step back and then just kind of refresh your memory on it. So this is 400 East Clark Avenue. And again, we're not really doing anything with the interior at all. It's all exterior modifications that we're proposing. So we're not proposing anything with the parking lot or the landscape, just purely facade finishes, and then we're just showing an idea on the signage. This is not part of this permit, but we kind of wouldn't mind some feedback from you in terms of the approach. So let me scroll down. So I put in here pictures of what the building looks like now, currently, and to make a comparison basically to what we're going to be providing for the new finishes, and then also to do some case studies of down the street on Clark Avenue. There's Bella Forno, which has that kind of off-white color and dark awnings, and then Far Western Tavern, which has the kind of thicker guardrail that I think that you were trying to have as kind of approach for the facade. So here's the exteriors. And let me go to the front one. So the front one, we are basically taking the windows that are on the building now that are fairly wide and not really conducive for the style that we're trying to
All I'm
achieve.
seeing is a floor plan. Do you have something else up?
I have
That's all I'm
exteriors.
seeing also. I
Oh.
can't see anything.
Okay, let me look at that again.
Leah, how come you have the video muted?
Hello? Are you able to see this now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I see the elevations.
Great. Sorry, I thought you were able to see it the whole time. So let me go back to the case studies. So yes, there's the existing building as it currently stands, and then the 2 case studies that I was talking about for Bella Forno, which is down the street, and Far Western Tavern, which has the rail fairly similar to what we're going to be proposing. And then on the exteriors themselves, let me go down to the front elevation. We're looking to take the wider windows that are on the building now and make them a little bit taller and thinner, or in width, adding shutters. The front door was moved to the center. We're removing the trellis that is currently on the building that is here right now and replacing it with a shed roof. We are not going out towards the street any further than what the trellis is now. In fact, we'll be trying to use the existing curb that it sits on. The guardrail for the building will be a little thicker now, with the posts basically being in a wood finish, but still having the balusters as a kind of an iron a painted black kind of finish.
Or is the top of the railing wood? I can't see.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is Jim, by the way.
And then these are the colors that we originally.
No, go back to the front elevation for just a sec. I have a question. Now, on the original one, there was a roof up above the upper windows. What's that roof? What's the siding? Is that a T111 siding, a plywood siding?
Yes.
Is that where the joint is, where your line is at 19?
No, that's just to show the plate height or the ceiling height in there. Let me go back to the before.
It would be a good thing to try to figure out how to conceal the joint line. It's possible that's where it is, at that old roof line.
Yes.
Because they're nasty
usually, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it's concealed behind the roof right now too. You're not really sure what condition it's in.
No, we won't
looks like
know.
it's above
That's
the roof.
kind of the reality of a remodel. You don't really know until you start tearing things out. But if you look at the south existing elevation on the screen, you can see where that Z flashing is. So I'm guessing it's going to be something similar to that will need to be put in there.
Yeah, I would just think about addressing it somehow and coming up with a scheme in case likely it's not going to be very pretty.
Right, right.
It's also, your elevation has quite a big forehead. The area above the windows now to the top of the roof is pretty large.
Yeah, I'm
do you think
staying
of that?
with what is there, and we can't really raise the windows.
No, because that's a roof.
In the ceiling.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're sort of limited to what we can propose.
What are you proposing about the signage where it says Old Orchid Square or whatever's going to be there? Is it?
We're proposing offset metallic letters, so basically very similar something to what Bella Forno is proposing with signage lighting. But ours probably
Laura,
will
this
not
is
be
Steve.
in the metal, the anodized aluminum color. Ours would be more of a bronze.
Make sure it's legible. They have a problem. Raised letters a lot of times where you can't read them.
Well, the contrasting color should help that. But
yeah.
So Laura, is the letters aren't backlit? You're being lit from above with those overhanging lights. Is that correct?
That's correct. And I think a lot of it plays into the fact that we're using kind of an older style font that can create the reason why it's not that legible versus a more modern, simple kind of font. But
No, I
that
mean,
doesn't really fall
what I
into
mean is
that.
this, Jim, the cutout a lot of time, it causes a problem with shadows behind it and no contrast with the building. And sometimes it's rust on rust, and, just make sure it's a legible sign.
This is
Yeah, I
Holly.
think the
I want to.
proportions.
I just got a quick clarification question. When you said the roof above the upper windows, try to conceal the joint line with the siding and the roof. Is that what you were talking about? Just to go back to that point, I want to make sure just for the minute.
Well, that's a design issue. It's going to be visible from the street, and to figure out a way to hide it or put a trim there or something might be something that's needed later.
And it's just a suggestion, right, Jim? Yeah.
It's a suggestion, but
Yeah.
it's just, it doesn't
But
want to
we know
look ratty.
construction is
Yeah.
right.
I like detail.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay, so I guess I'm just showing at the very end of the set of drawings, we can always go back to anything else that you might have questions on, were the two colors that we were suggesting. This was the original one, and I think the concern was it was just maybe the two colors scenario going on of off white and then kind of a dark gray with black windows. So in this one, we just very subtly made the change to a more brown, darker color, still having the black windows and still doing the off-white body for the building.
So, Laura, this is Steve. Do you have any? It's hard to read on at least on my screen. Is there any detail around the windows other than the shutters themselves? Is there, in other words, is there like head trim or sill trim or anything on those windows?
Yes, there will be. It is a little fooling in the image because it is such a dark color, but there will be some rounding around it.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Laura, this is Michael. Can we go back to the photo of the railing on the far western?
Sure. Okay.
So on your building, they're pretty much straight tubes?
Correct.
Okay.
We're not going as ornate.
All right.
You're referring to the pickets then, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yes. These right here.
Mm-hmm.
Does the board have any issue with the straight pickets versus something a little bit more ornate?
I think that the straight pickets actually fit the design pretty well. I would be reluctant to see a very ornate wrought iron work in there or anything. I think it's pretty compatible the way it is.
To me, can you guys hear me? It's Bobby.
Yes.
Yes, Bobby.
I really appreciate the ornateness of the far western, but it's a totally different kind of designed building, and to me the building, this building is a lot more toned down than the far western, and it seems to fit adequately, in my opinion. I'm kind of down the same lines as Steve. I just think if you added ornateness, it would look out of place on that particular building.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to get that on the record. I'm happy with the design as presented. So, is there? Does the board have any other questions on the changes that they've made to the project?
No, just the colors. It's a fairly stark color scheme. And if the white is too white, it's going to show up every imperfection on the building, typically, and the siding and that sort of thing.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
I appreciate the comments you gave, and I agree with you. The white needs to be the right white, because if it's not white enough, it's going to look dirty all the time. And then if it's too white, if it's too stark, it's going to be too cold feeling, in my opinion. I think that much white's going to be a touchy subject.
Hey, Laura, this is Michael again. Have you looked at adding color to the trim pieces, the brackets, the posts, the trim on the parapet walls?
You know, we could go a different color scheme, but I don't think that's really what the client was wanting. I think the intent is to kind of create a more formal building. You know, when you start adding that many more colors, it just sort of takes away from that, especially since this building is fairly simple. So just sort of some input. I mean, I suppose one thing we could do is maybe make the stair run and that support maybe just a little darker of a hue in a creamy kind of white. That might add a little depth to it if there's concern on it. But taking this to a completely different color scheme, that's really not the intent or the want for this project.
Yeah, Laura, this is Steve. I completely agree. If the white is the trickiest color here. Make sure you look at that color when you're outside rather than just under the fluorescence, because colors seem to get whiter as they get outside rather than when we look at them inside. Like we're looking at the color board now. I mean, there's a nice contrast to the white background, but outside it's going to feel a lot whiter. So you might want to just study the tonal qualities of that once you get outside a little bit. But I agree with you. I think that the pale white color is the right color for the building.
Hey, Laura, this is Mike again. I agree with the stair color, your comment that you just made, kind of make that a little bit darker. I mean, but still retaining, still keeping it white, but, toning it down just a bit to give it depth and to really accent those stairs a little bit more. And with regards to the color, I would just, looking at the color palette with your brown color, that you have on the shutters, is there, I didn't want you to change the color, just maybe add more from the palette that you've got.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Add more from the...
You've got the brown is on the shutters.
Uh-huh.
And the rest of it is all white. I think maybe if you darken the stairs a little bit, just a shade or two to give it depth, I think that would work out well for the building. I mean, I like the colors.
Okay.
So I know I'm in the minority, but with everything
I like
down
the colors
in that
as
area, I like the color choices you've come up with.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know that running with brown, it does add a little more depth to it than just going with the straight gray, and I believe the owner was good with that. So so I don't know if there's any more input in terms of, aside from making the stair maybe a shade or two darker, if you feel comfortable with this proposed scheme.
Well, go ahead and take into consideration the comments from the board and kind of study that. We're not asking you to change it, but, you know, we have enough faith in you to decide, you know, if the vanilla milkshake is an appropriate color and it's not going to wash out in sunlight.
Sure, sure.
Laura, when you said the stairway, were you just talking about the area below the landing as a darker color?
I was actually thinking the stringers and then the area below the landing and then the area right below the balcony.
Yeah. It might be interesting to, play with different masses in there. That might accentuate the thing and look cool. A lot of times people don't even notice a color difference. It just looks like, I don't know, makeup.
Yeah, it can just be very subtle.
The big shocking thing is going to be that white wall on the east. You know, that's just a big blank. There's a lot of colors that are going to read white, even though they don't look white when you look at the chip. When you get them outside, they look white. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
white can be a full range.
Oh yeah, I made a mistake of putting a bright white on something one time, and it was just like a beacon. It was awful.
Yeah.
It was like a carnation stand down at Disneyland.
Right, right. So is this something that, with the comments given, can we move forward to be able to submit to building and then just come back for a final?
That would seem reasonable to me. This is Steve.
This is Jim too. I don't.
Is it possible, Michael?
Yeah, I think that is. Is there any other comments that the board would like to make on the overall project?
I have a comment or two, but I need some advice from Holly. They're not proposing any landscape on this project, but I think, you know, I've made the comment before that this project could benefit from some better maintenance. If any of the landscape that exists as is damaged or removed during construction, what ability do we have to say that it needs to be replaced in kind?
I believe that's part of the approval process, but I know that Eric's on the line and he has more experience with that. But
Okay.
anytime there's an authorized landscape plan, they need to be held to that. And during construction, sometimes things happen.
Well, there is no landscape plan being proposed. I
Right.
just don't
But
want
isn't there-
to see less landscaping on the site.
Right. Wasn't there an overall landscape plan back when for this project? I would be surprised if there weren't.
So
Probably not, actually.
actually, yeah, this is one of the buildings in Orchid that are slightly older. So there was not a landscaping plan done with it when it was created. So I'm not sure that there is an avenue for it, but I mean, we can definitely condition the project in that way to protect the landscaping that's there already.
Is it on the site plan here at all? The existing landscaping? I'm not able to see
No,
it today.
they're not
but
proposing any landscape at all on the project.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's certainly something that we can request. We wouldn't want less landscaping than is already there. So.
That's my fear. That,
Right.
you know, I know painters and framers and stuff. Landscape is an obstacle
Right.
to be removed.
Right.
So
I hear you.
my fear is that, you know, with all the work going on to enhance this building to make it look better, that the minimal landscape that's there right now is going to be so damaged that it'll either die or just get removed.
Well, in the absence of any landscape plan, we could at least do photos and put that for the record. So we could do a before and after to make sure that that the minimal landscape that's there is protected.
Okay.
Or are you still there?
That's my,
Okay, thank you. What, Eric, did you have something to add here?
Oh, I was just gonna ask the app or I was gonna ask Laura now if it would be okay with her to just throw some pictures on there, and maybe an aerial of the existing landscape that'll be protected in this remodel.
You know, we have the, I don't know if this is sufficient enough. We do have images of the existing building, which shows kind of what the landscape on it. Obviously, cars probably could be removed, but is that sufficient?
for me, as a record of what's there and what should be maintained, I think that's fine. I just don't want to see less there, you know, happen as part of the construction.
Right.
Laura, if you can just add a note somewhere on the plans as well that says, you know, landscaping to be protected and maintained throughout the construction process.
Okay.
Thank you.
A better way of writing it is that if it's damaged or destroyed, the contractor must replace it in kind or something like that. Put it back on them. If they know that they're going to have to pay for it,
right,
then they're going to watch out for it.
That's
right. That's a great idea.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
All right, perfect. Does the board have any other comments at this time?
I just wanted to confirm with the board also. So the color palette you prefer on the two is the one with the Renwick brown, and then any comments you might have on the signs, or is the, you know, conceptual signage good, even though it's on a different permit?
Well, I like darker rather than lighter. I would like darker even more than the chocolate milkshake or whatever that was.
No, which is my favorite brand of milkshake, and quite frankly, when I drink it outside, it's not white.
Well, that's good.
Well, and in terms of the signage, yes, I do want to bring to your attention to, if there's any feedback, is that we would have the name of the building and the address on the building, but that would be the extent of it. The rest is, there's an intention to do a monument sign on the corner.
Okay.
Once again, I'd like this, Jim, to emphasize that to think about how to conceal the joint on the front that's going to show up, particularly in white. It's going to be obvious it's plywood, and it's always nice when it's concealed rather than, or in some way minimized on the front, particularly.
So Kevin, is there any concern with the amount of lawn or turf out there?
Doesn't sound like Kevin.
Well, it's existing, so you know, we can't force them to comply to current law. If they were to, you know, remodel it or something, then they have, I could tell you, they have too high of a percentage of grass to be in compliance.
Oh, for sure.
But looking at it, and I'm trying to open up the plan so I can see him a little better. Laura, is that a sign? You said a monument sign you're putting on the corner there now?
That is the intent. We don't have a design for it yet. It's the idea of limiting the amount of signage on the building, because it just can start looking messy.
Yeah.
Everything has their own graphics.
Okay. That's going to be problematic putting it in the middle of turf. The sprinklers are going to spray it and destroy it. So you're going to need to think about that too, and how you reconfigure the landscape there.
Okay.
That's not an insurmountable problem. Just
no, it's not. But you just need to think about it. Yeah. And you know, it's the same advice I gave to the people at St. Joe's. They ignored it, and their sign's rusting now. So, you know, I can give you my opinion and try and help you out, but just be aware that's what's going to happen.
Sure, understand.
And, you know, your maintenance person should be able to address that for you. I would hope so, at least.
Okay, is there any other thing we want to discuss at this time?
No, other than I'm happy that this is being done.
Perfect. All right, well, Laura, it looks like you've got a little bit of work to do, but I think we can certainly, the next time you present for preliminary approval on this particular project. Do you have any questions for us?
Well, let me ask you, because you mentioned preliminary approval. I was hoping that we could move forward with building and then address these last concerns in the final approval.
Okay, because your agenda is for further conceptual review right now.
Sorry, and I have now a landscape person outside my windows. Now it's kind of noisy.
Well, your agenda is for conceptual review.
Right. Well, that's why I was hoping that we can move past that and go into building and get a final review.
I don't think you can. You have to. Don't you have to get preliminary, Mike, before you can? Well, I guess you could submit to building, but you have to get. Don't you have to get preliminary first?
Can't we do this as come back only as preliminary final in one shot?
I believe you can do it as come back preliminary final.
And that would help Laura out and allow them to move this thing forward. There's,
Yeah,
you know, we've probably already given it as much input as we can give it at this point. So,
Right.
It would be at risk, but it's not. I think the risk is considered pretty low at this time in terms of the changes that you're considering.
Okay, perfect. Then I guess go ahead and move forward with your plans to the building department. And then we'll see you the next time you'll come in for both preliminary and final approval.
Yes, please. That would be great.
Anything else, board?
no, do we
I have
need a
nothing.
motion?
Okay, so Laura, go ahead and start your working drawings. Get with your planner and, you know, get this back to us for when you're ready for both preliminary and final review.
Okay, sounds great.
With that being said, as there is no other agenda items on today's meeting, I'll go ahead and ask for a motion to close this meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Yes. this is
Second.
Jim.
Great. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Aye.
Gentlemen.
Thank you.
John, bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Sorry for coming in late, guys.
No, thanks for joining us today, Bobby.
Thank you, Leah.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Have a great
I had
weekend.
sent you an email. I sent you an email a little earlier, but you hadn't responded, so I was waiting.
Oh, you know what? My email notifications were coming up on the screen, so I closed out my email to avoid any awkwardness.
Okay. All right. That I had tried to email you quicker, and then I said, "Oh, I think I have her number here. Let me see." So I sent you the text message. So that was the problem. So,
Well, I'm glad it worked out.
have a good day, all.
Thanks, you too.
Same to you, Robert. Good job. Thank you, guys.
Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.